Hello. Welcome back to the channel. It's Ash here. I hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to a guy called Chris Voss. If you haven't heard of Chris Voss, he used to be the lead FBI hostage negotiator or something like that. And a good friend of mine, Tyler at Entrepreneur Club Global, he put me onto his book. It's called Never Split the Difference, and it's all about the art of negotiation. And I'm a big negotiator, not just for my day job as a recruiter, but just in general when it comes to kind of market shopping. I guess when you're abroad on holiday and stuff like that, always trying to get the best deal. So highly recommend. I will put a link to Tyler's video about Chris Voss's book. He did a really in-depth book review, so I highly recommend that. I don't think I can tag other people's videos in the video, so I'll put a link to it in the description box below. And I'm also going to look into the possibility about putting a link in the description below so you can read or listen to this book for free using Audible. So yeah, because I've been listening to this book, I'm nearly finished it. Actually, I'm not quite finished it, but I've just been watching a lot of Chris Voss content online, and I came across this video, and right towards the end he started talking, or someone asked a question about salary negotiation. So I thought, let's watch this together. Let's react to what he would describe as good pay negotiation, and let's see if it transfers to the real world.
So thank you for that.
Let's go.
So here's a question. It's from Teresa. And she says, how would you advise job seekers to respond to what are your salary expectations? This is hands down the most challenging question for us. Even though employers are not technically allowed to ask for it, it still prompts you to reveal it.
Yeah, well, you can reveal it, but say, I'd be happy to share that with you. But let's pivot to the side for a moment, because regardless of the salary,
The old, whoever talks first loses. Don't answer that question. Don't be the first one to give in.
Regardless, they can pay you for a job that you're miserable in, and that's blood money. Salary is a term. Mm-hmm. Salary pays your bills. It doesn't guarantee your success. Set the salary off to the side for a second and say, what does it take to be successful here? Find out if there's a fit.
That's a good point. Now, hopefully you're not at the point where you've done the interview process, now you're negotiating salary and you're trying to find out if it's a good fit. Like, hopefully you've had that conversation much earlier on in the process. Ideally, you should be having that conversation like from the get-go. You should be speaking with this company and finding out how you fit into the wider picture, how you can be successful there. Does the company align with your values and vice versa? So it's a whole process of making sure it's a fit on both sides.
Look, this is as much of an audition for them as it is for you.
It's as much as an audition for them as it is for you. What do we always say? You're interviewing them as well as them interviewing you. So you need to make sure you're asking all of the right questions. Let's carry on.
You don't want to take the wrong job, just like you don't want to be in a wrong relationship. You can always get back to salary. You can always ask that question. You can always come back and tease it out. I guarantee you there's a couple things on the other side. They got a range in mind. Number one, they are restricted to some degree.
I guess back in agency days, or I suppose a lot of agency recruiters are guilty of this. They'll try and get out of you the minimum you take. And on the other side, when they're speaking to clients, they're probably trying to get the maximum out of them. And that's, let me just make a quick caveat here. That's not necessarily them trying to get you down as much as possible and get them up as much as possible to squeeze both sides. What they're trying to do is just buy a little bit of wiggle room on both sides in case it's needed at any point in the negotiations later on. So that's one thing. That's what you'll probably find with a lot of agency recruiters. When you're speaking to in-house recruiters, and this isn't, by the way, this is not to say agency recruiters are bad, in-house recruiters are good. I'm not saying that at all. But when it comes to dealing with in-house recruiters, 9 times out of 10, most businesses these days, they'll have a banding in place for each salary or for each position in the business, and they'll also have a budget. Having said that, it does depend on how you interview during the process. So you could rate yourself at 40, or you could say you're looking for 45,000. Me as a recruiter say, okay, look, that's within our salary band. Now go for the interview. Sometimes what may happen is they've done the interview process, they've assessed your technical ability or proficiency for the role or whatever it may be, and they've decided that you're not at that 45k mark and they want to offer you 42,000. And in that scenario, they should give you reasons as to why they've come to those conclusions, and they should give you the opportunity to be able to develop yourself and get to where you want to be salary and career wise. And you never know, sometimes it's happened with us, the business I work for. We've interviewed candidates and we've said, and we actually offer them more than what they were looking for in the first instance, because we deemed they were their proficiency level was higher than where they even valued themselves.
Also, they may not be able to pay what the market bears, but the upside for the job might be worth well in excess of what the market bears. I mean,
that's a really interesting point, because there are businesses out there who are businesses that are amazing to work for, but maybe because of the size of them or for other factors, they just can't pay what some of the bigger organizations are going to pay. The Facebooks, the Googles, the Amazons, if they want a specific role, naturally they'll pay whatever needs to be paid for that position. Other businesses who are probably perhaps smaller can't afford to do that. So you need to look at more than just numbers and not get fixated on numbers. What else do they offer? What training is available? What progression is available? You need to delve into these factors and decide whether or not some of the soft benefits actually kind of pad it out a little bit more to make the hard benefits equal out.
I'd work for minimum wage for Warren Buffett. You know, who are you going to be around? What are you going to get the chance to do? I'd work for minimum wage for Elon Musk. I'd get Elon Musk's coffee if I could hang out with him and learn from him. So what are the other things involved? How much is the job going to grow you? All right, so now let's say all these things.
That's it. Training, development, learning, progression. Do you want to go down the people manager route? Do you want to go down a specialist route? Do you want to go and work abroad? Like, what else can this business offer you?
Have been passed and you want to get back to salary. My first response is, sounds like you guys probably already have a range in mind. I'm going to tease out from them. I'm going to do everything I can to tease out the salary. If I'm not willing to settle for like my previous job, and they're not supposed to ask you what you made in your previous job anyway.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a law in America, or in certain states in America. They can't actually ask you what you're on. Here in the UK, I think I'm pretty confident it's fine. It's legal to ask the question. Is it right to ask the question? Now that's a different scenario altogether. I personally will never lead with that question. If a candidate wants to volunteer that sort of information, then that's up to them. But generally speaking, I'll lead with what are you looking for? What are you looking to secure in your next position, and take things from there.
But I can say, look, I can tell you what I made in my previous job if you're determined to know that. And I can also tell you that I'm not going to accept that here.
If someone said that to me when they were negotiating salary, I would be like, I am not messing with this person. They know exactly what they're doing.
So if that's going to impact your decision making on this, then I'll tell you, but it's a non-starter from the beginning. A lot of things that have to be talked about around salary that you can do respectfully. Mm-hmm. And what if they won't let you do it? I'm here to tell you that is not the job for you.
He literally just took the words out of my mouth. Like, the picture he's painting at the moment is a very kind of combative negotiation conversation. Like, if you're speaking to a business and they are being very kind of coy and not being straight up about what they pay, and they're really trying to get something out of you, those are massive red flags. there's a difference between wanting the other person to kind of set the negotiation bar first and then just wholeheartedly just refusing to speak until you speak first. But yeah, if someone's being really kind of ruthless and not willing to budge until you budge, massive red flag.
You know, I'm going to be your dad here for a second. Should you be in an abusive relationship personally? No. Should you be in an abusive relationship professionally? No. If they won't let you explore around that and they're determined that you have to give a number, I'm here to tell you, not only is it a bad job for you, but that company is going the way of the dodo. They're going to go out of business. Your experience there is not going to be valuable. Your time there is going to be wasted. There's a reason why at least 40% of the Fortune 500 is going to be gone in 10 years, because there are a lot of poor big business practices out there.
Yeah, he's making some really good points here. And it's not only that, like, if they're really trying to like batter you down to get the minimum you'd be willing to take, and finding out what you're on just so they can give you like a 10% increase to keep you happy, there's so many different problems with this. Like, for example, you could be underpaid currently in your current job. Like, you could be getting paid well under the market, and a 10% increase from moving to this role is probably still not market rate. So that's not a good increase. You need to be paid what you're worth. You could have taken a pay cut in your last role for whatever reason, whatever circumstances you found yourself in. Also, women are less likely to negotiate throughout the course of their career. So naturally, that could contribute to the gender pay gap. So if you have salary bands in place and people are paid within those salary bands without exception, this will help things like the gender pay gap. So there are so many different problems that result from these sort of practices.
You don't want to work there. Don't let yourself to be a hostage to a bad job.
Mm-hmm. And that's really, really valuable insight. And I love also what you were saying about ways to pivot, because there are ways that you can kind of tease it out without having to answer that question. Well, they shouldn't be asking it in the first place, but there are ways that you can kind of turn it back around on them. You know, like, it sounds like you guys already have a range in mind, or it sounds like I can tell you, but I can tell you that it's kind of irrelevant because I'm not going to accept it here. That's great. I'm going to be doing that in my next salary negotiation, which hopefully won't for a little while, because
yeah, well, you're in a great place. But I got to tell you what, you know, my company, we're looking to hire people. I need to know what you're going to be comfortable with. Like, I'll need to explore both previous compensation you had, because I know that previous compensation, I've got to do that, or I've got to do better than that, because you got to pay your bills. And if for some reason we settle on a number that's lower than what you've been making,
pay your bills. Exactly. There's no point, recruiters, there's no point trying to push down a candidate so far just to save a bit of budget, and you know they're not going to be happy with that number. They're not going to be excited about joining this business. Like, when you're starting a new job, you want to be excited. You in the lead up, when you're working your notice period of your previous role, the week before you join the business, you want to be thinking about, yeah, like, I'm excited to get going. What am I going to be working on? What projects am I going to be doing? Where's this role going to take me? Like, what can I do with it? You don't want your candidate or your future colleague going into this role thinking, I'm not that happy with the salary. It's not the best, but I like the job and it's okay. And like, there's been times where we've met candidates and we've had candidates like that, and we just haven't offered them because, like, if we can't give them what they're looking for, then they're not going to stay happy. Like, the excitement of the new role will only last so long. So yeah, I think if you're finding yourself as a recruiter having to bat someone down really far on salary, long term, probably not going to work. And if you're an agency recruiter, they might just leave during their probation and you're not going to get paid anyway.
I've just cheated you, and I've put you in a position where you're going to be anxious in a job. You're not going to be successful. So I'm looking to hit a range where you feel like you're being really well paid and that there's tremendous upside. Like, my company pays bonuses. You know, we love a base plus bonus. Mm-hmm. You know, I need to make sure that you can pay your bills. And then I'm going to share the upside with you. But I'm also going to want to make sure that you're comfortable with that, because there's a certain amount of uncertainty in bonuses. You don't know how much you're going to get. And I got to feel you out for how comfortable you are with the uncertainty factor, or would you rather have a fixed number that overall is going to be less than what you might have gotten with bonuses, but you don't want to worry about what you got. I mean, when I was with the FBI, it was a good salary. It wasn't a great salary, but I never had to think about how much was coming in the door, which left me free to excel. You know, in the compensation package in my company, we want to tailor it to you as much as we possibly can, because I need to make you successful, and if I don't make you successful, I failed you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Understood. Hopefully Teresa can put that to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even go further than that. It doesn't just have to be base plus bonus. It can be base plus shares and equity. It can be base plus the promise to provide this sort of training, or on the legal front, it could be providing training contracts. On the finance front, it could be providing qualifications for SEMA and ACA and these sort of things. So there's so many different things. Like, what's important to you? What would make this role, at the risk of taking a little bit less than what you probably want, what would make it worth your while? So have a think about that. And sometimes these extra benefits can make up for the deficit. So yeah, that was my reaction to Chris Voss's salary negotiation. It's I enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun video. He's a person who certainly knows what he's talking about, and I really enjoyed his book. And I'll probably be seeing if I can react to any more of his videos in the future. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch. I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some insight in regards to some salary negotiation, especially those of you who are maybe earlier on in your careers and are a little bit less experienced when it comes to salary negotiation. Check out the book review by my friend Tyler at Entrepreneur Club Global. In the description below, he goes into a lot of detail. The book by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. I highly recommend you watch that if you're interested in this sort of book, and check out the link to Audible in the description as well. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this was a benefit. Share it with someone who you think could find it of use. Hit the like, subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch these videos, and I will catch you in the next one. Boom, and we're done. I just realized I negotiate salaries every single day with people, and this video is probably not going to make my life any easier. It's going to make my life a whole lot harder, but it is what it is. I'm here to help the people. Catch you in a bit.